I used to work nights at a small, private long-term care facility just outside Cleveland, maybe 40 beds total, mostly elderly patients with dementia, a few younger ones with brain injuries. I was 25, fresh out of a CNA program, still figuring out how to do the job without letting it sink into my skin. Night shifts were quiet, usually. It was just me and a nurse, sometimes a floater if we were lucky. I'd start at 7 p.m., do rounds at 9, midnight, and 3. The rest of the time was paperwork, cleaning, and making sure no one wandered off or choked in their sleep. This happened maybe 4 years ago, and I still think about it. More than I should. We had a new admit that night, a guy in his early 40s, which was younger than most of our patients. I'll call him Kevin. He'd been transferred from a state psych facility after a suicide attempt. Technically stable, but still under observation. I didn't know his full history, just that he wasn't allowed to leave his room unaccompanied, and there were no sharp objects allowed near him. No razors, no pens, nothing. His room was in the far back wing, near storage and the old laundry chute that nobody used anymore. That section of the building always felt too quiet, like the walls were thicker back there. Anyway, it was around 3:15 a.m., and I was doing my last round. I always saved that hallway for last. I hated being back there alone. When I got to Kevin's room, his door was open. That was the first thing that stopped me. We never left his door open. He was supposed to be monitored, and he usually kept to himself. I stepped in and said quietly, "Hey, Kevin. You okay?" He was sitting in the chair by the window, facing away from me. Lights off. No TV. Just the buzz from the hallway light leaking in. I took a step in, trying not to startle him. "Kevin." He didn't answer. He just sat there, hands in his lap. I noticed something shiny on the floor near his feet, like metal. I moved in closer, and that's when I saw it was part of a bed rail, a broken piece. Somehow he'd managed to pry it loose. Not a small task, those rails are bolted tight. I felt my pulse spike. I knew we had to report that kind of thing immediately. I reached for my walkie, and that's when he spoke. Very quietly, like he was talking to someone who wasn't me. "They don't come down here. Not at night." I froze. "Who does?" He still didn't look at me. "The staff. They avoid this hallway. They know better." I asked if he was feeling okay, tried to keep my voice calm, but he kept talking soft, slow. "She used to work here. They never believed her. So she locked herself in the laundry room and waited for someone to find her. Took 3 days. At that point, I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to get out of that room, call the nurse, get backup. I turned to leave, but he finally looked at me. His eyes were calm, weirdly calm. Like all the tension in his body had drained out. He smiled. That might have been the worst part, not a creepy smile, just relieved. He said, "It's not about me. I just didn't want you to be surprised." I left. I didn't say another word. I backed out and called the nurse immediately. We went in together, but by the time we got there, Kevin was lying in bed like nothing had happened. The metal rail was gone. He acted confused when we asked about it. No sign of the chair, the conversation, nothing. We documented it, of course. Wrote it up. Maintenance checked the bed and found nothing wrong with the rail. But the nurse pulled me aside afterward and told me something that still sticks with me. She said, "That room, we don't usually use it. We try not to. There have been complaints. Staff avoid it if they can." I asked why. She just said, "Sometimes people fixate when they're in there. They hear things, say things. We lost a CNA in there once, years ago. Quit on the spot. That was my last shift in that wing. I asked to be reassigned to the main floor. They didn't argue. There was no ghost, no monster, just a man who had been pushed too far, left alone too long, and somehow found comfort in scaring the hell out of someone else. Or maybe not comfort, maybe just connection. Maybe he wanted someone else to feel what he felt. The thing is, I still don't know if he was telling the truth. About the woman, about the hallway, about being watched. But I know what I felt. I know the silence of that room and how it seemed to press in. And I know that sometimes, working nights, the danger is what's out there. It's what people carry inside when no one's watching. You ever sit in one of those tiny prefab security booths at 3 a.m. and feel like the world's just holding its breath? I worked security for a logistics warehouse out in southern Indiana. Big place. Trucks coming and going 24/7, but night shifts were slow. Fewer deliveries, just a skeleton crew doing inventory, cleaning, maintenance. My job was mostly watching the monitors and logging license plates when the trucks came through the south gate. This happened about 2 years ago. October, I think. Nights were starting to get cold again. I remember because I kept a little space heater in the booth that smelled like melted plastic when it ran too long. That night was quiet. No storm, no power flickers, just the usual hum of cameras and dispatch chatter on the radio. Around 2:30 a.m., I took a quick walk around Lot C, the far side of the property, where they store empty trailers. It's not lit as well as the rest of the yard. Budget cuts. Anyway, I was walking the fence line when I saw a trailer door hanging open. Not wide, just a crack. That was against protocol. Empty trailers are supposed to be locked. Could be squatters, thieves, raccoons, all things I've actually dealt with. So I keyed my radio and said, "Dispatch, checking open trailer in Lot C, row 7. Got a crackle back and a copy that. Log it." I climbed up, flashlight in one hand, and opened the trailer. It was dark and empty. Nothing inside but a few loose zip ties and a single glove, the rubber kind, just sitting in the corner like someone dropped it mid-task. I snapped a photo and stepped down to log it, then heard something behind me, a thud. Not loud, just solid. I turned fast, thinking someone had stepped into the trailer behind me. But it was empty. I stood there a second too long. That kind of moment where your brain says go, but your legs don't listen. Then I backed away and shut the trailer door, locked it, and walked fast back to the booths. Once I was inside, I pulled the camera feed for Lot C and rewound it maybe 10 minutes. At 2:21 a.m., the trailer door was closed. At 2:23, it was open. No one visible. No movement. Just suddenly open. I zoomed in, adjusted the brightness, even pinged dispatch to see if maybe someone else had been assigned to check it earlier. Nothing. Just me. I logged it and tried not to think too much. Weird stuff happens. Cameras glitch. Wind shifts things. Then about 45 minutes later, the camera for row 6, the one next to where I'd just been, went static. Only that one. A clean horizontal line of fuzz. I waited thinking it de-reset. It did. That's when I noticed movement on the monitor for row 7. I leaned closer. Someone was walking between trailers, not a worker, not in a vest. Hood up, dark clothes. Moving slowly, hands in pockets, no flashlight. Not in a hurry. I keyed the mic. Dispatch got a visual on unauthorized person in Lot C. Row 7. Moving toward south fence. Going to investigate. Dispatch started to answer, but I left the booth before they finished. I had this instinct, not smart, I know, but something told me I had to see him before he slipped through the fence line or off camera again. I walked down the row past the trailers, sweeping my flashlight. My boots were loud on the gravel. Too loud. I kept expecting to see movement. Kept thinking I was going to turn a corner and someone would be standing there. But there was no one. And then I saw it, another trailer door. This time wide open. I walked up, called out, "Security. You're trespassing." Nothing. I climbed up again, heart hammering, flashlight cutting through the dark. Inside was empty except for the smell. It hit me all at once. Sharp, chemical, bleach maybe, or ammonia. It burned in my nose. And then I saw something in the corner, not a person, not even movement. Just marks. Scratches maybe, or drag lines. Fine. I snapped another photo and got the hell out. When I got back to the booth, the camera for row 7 was down now too. I called dispatch again, asked them to review the footage from the last 90 minutes, said I was escalating to site management. While I was on the line, I noticed a new alert on the log screen, motion detected behind the booth. I spun around. Nothing but fog and empty pavement. I stepped out and shined my light across the yard. Again, no one. I finished the shift. I didn't sleep that day. I sent a full report to the site manager, flagged it as urgent. The next night, a different guard took my shift. I was off. The night after that, that guard didn't show up. They found his car in the lot, driver's side door open, keys in the ignition. No sign of him. Never found. Eventually, the story died down. Management said it was personal reasons. I know his name, but I won't say it here. I don't know what happened in Lot C that night, or if it had anything to do with the guy I saw. But I do know this. In some jobs, the scariest thing is what's on the screen. It's what you almost see right before the camera cuts out. People think truckers live for the open road. That we're free, untethered. But the truth is, you stop feeling free when you've been driving for 12 hours straight and haven't heard another voice in 6. When the radio dies out and all that's left is the rumble of the engine and the ache in your lower back. I was hauling refrigerated goods through northern Nevada, I-80, somewhere between Elko and Winnemucca. Middle of nowhere. July, but still freezing at night. My logbook shows it was 3:17 a.m. when I pulled off at a rest stop near mile marker 238. Just a dirt pullout with a cracked portage on and one flickering lamp post. I'd stopped there before. Nothing special, but better than sleeping in motion. I wasn't planning on sleeping long. Just a quick nap in the cab, stretch my legs, maybe a snack. Standard routine. When I parked, there was one other rig already there. Black Peterbilt with no company markings. Just sitting there, engine off, no lights. Looked like it had been there a while. No movement in the cab. Windows tinted too dark to see inside. I didn't think much of it. I got out, stretched, walked a few steps around the lot. No signal on my phone. I took a leak behind a scrub bush, climbed back into the cab and locked the doors. Curtains drawn. All good. I woke up maybe an hour later, 4:30-ish, I think. Cold as hell. Mouth dry. Something had jolted me awake, but I didn't know what. Then I heard it. 3 knocks on the driver's side door. Not loud, not frantic, just deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. No reason for anyone to be knocking on my cab at 4:30 in the morning in the middle of nowhere. I sat up, didn't turn on any lights, just peeked through the curtain. Nobody there. I looked over at the other truck, still parked, same position. No headlights, no cab lights, no sign of life. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. The passenger side door of my truck was unlocked. I always lock both sides. It's automatic. A habit burned into my bones after 20 years on the road. But now the red toggle was up. I reached for the tire iron I keep near my bunk and slid it across my lap. I didn't breathe for a minute, listening for any movement. Nothing, just the wind outside and the ticking of the engine as it cooled. Then I heard the door latch click. Passenger side. Slow, soft, like someone gently testing it from the outside. I kicked open the curtain and yanked the door handle up from the driver's side, shoving it open with one boot. I leapt out with the tire iron in hand, heart jackhammering. No one there, but the other truck, the Peterbilt. Its cab light was on now. Still no movement. No engine, just that pale yellow glow behind the windshield. I called out, "You good?" Nothing. I took a step toward it, then stopped. Something about the stillness, the wrongness. I turned back to my truck, locked both doors, climbed in, and fired the engine. I was ready to peel out, logbook be damned. But then my headlights swept across the front of the Peterbilt. The passenger door was open. Not wide, just cracked, and there was something on the step. A boot. One boot. Empty. Facing my truck. I hit the gas and didn't stop until I saw other headlights an hour down the road. Pulled into a Love S, told a sheriff's deputy I met there what happened. He took a few notes and said there'd been reports of a guy pretending to be a broken-down driver, knocking on trucks, asking for help, then trying to climb inside when they opened the door. Sometimes he left when confronted. Sometimes not. They never caught him. That rest stop was shut down a few months later. Some excuse about road repairs. But I've heard from other drivers, weird stuff still happens out there. Unmarked rigs, knocked-over cones, people walking the road at night, barefoot, waving truckers down. I check every lock now. Twice, because I don't care what anyone says, out on that stretch of highway, with nothing around for miles, it's not the dark you should be scared of. It's the people waiting in it.